All right, folks. Today I want to talk about the ACSS reticle. Now, I put out a video a little bit ago talking about it, and we got to find the ACSS fanboys, or the people who like it. Now, let me read a few of the comments here, because I think they're pretty good. First comment, Ben's take on shooting at color confirmation distances is the first well-articulated negative I've heard about the ACSS. I'd love to know what distances he's referring to and how negative the impact on shot placement was. So if we're talking, I don't know how big the circle was. I think in the original video I said it's 80 MOA or 85. It's way bigger. Somebody said it's 250 MOA. Like that sounds like that could be right. So if you're keying in on like the edge of a 250 MOA circle, that's like 125 MOA off where you want, like that's going to be a very dramatic impact on shot placement. The use of the outer ring in non-ideal circumstances rather than color confirmation distances wasn't colored, and I feel this is the main reason to want an ACSS. It's the same type of logic that makes large windowed dots desirable. They can be more forgiving and provide you with more info. I'm interested if it would be useful if you missed your index and needed to make a correction on the fly. I can say I've watched lots of high-level shooters lose the dot out of the window after transitioning to weekend only. Yeah, so I'll show you a better tool than the ACSS. Better than ACSS as far as shot place, or as far as correcting for that. Another comment, the ACSS is great for awkward shooting positions like cramped up behind a barrier, below a barrier, around a corner while doing a handstand, these kinds of things. I'm pretty good at finding my dot in regular positions, but I can see how it helps in awkward situations. Training wheels aren't a problem when tossed into a situation that training didn't prepare you for. All right, so I'll make a demonstration to show you a better tool than ACSS, like I said. And this last comment I'm going to read, this is pretty much my view, and I think it's a lot of people's view when they talk about the ACSS. Half of this comment section is full of people saying that this reticle is somehow useful when shooting from a compromised position, but that's hardly a relevant point to make for performance shooting where those situations just don't happen. Beyond that, waiting for the reticle to visually confirm that your presentation is off will always be slower than simply putting in the time and dry fire to know by feel that your presentation is off and how to correct it. As always, there's no substitute for training, and this reticle is a time-wasting crutch that will make you slower in the long run regardless of the situation. Yeah, I think that's a pretty fair comment. And I'll show you why I mean that. But the other thing I'll say is I've never seen, like never once, not once have I seen someone I consider like a high-level shooter like with an ACSS on their gun. I've just never seen that. It is a crutch, I think. Now let me show you what would be better. Now instead of using this is just a regular 507 comp, by the way, no ACSS reticle on here. Now I'm going to have the cameraman, we call him the Big D. The Big D is going to show you the tool that I think you should use, and I think that's just the housing of the optic itself. Now, if you square up the housing, you then see the red dot. You can find where it is. Now, if we take it off center, off square, now here it's wrong. Now, quickly, the cameraman, you can get on it. Yep, there it is. You square up your view of the optic, square up that housing, and then you see red. Now, that's what I think you should be using instead of the ACSS reticle that, is that circle that sort of is around the optic if you look at it from the side, if that makes sense. Now, you're not keying in on red, except for with this system, like just the outline of the housing, the red that I key in, that's where the bullets are going to go every time, instead of seeing this red thing that goes around the other red thing. And I don't see them at the same time. That's like unnecessarily confusing. And just aiming with the housing, you can do pretty well. Now, other shapes, here's a circular housing on the Walmart SRO. Like whatever, you learn the shape of your housing, you square up the shape, and you're gonna find your dot. And even if you don't find your red dot there, when you're shooting at close range from a compromised position, you don't really need to see the red dot in order to get enough confirmation to hit the target. Again, just the outline of the housing can give you a lot of info. You're standing here close range, maybe 5 yards away. I've taped off the housing here, so I get no dot of any kind, and I'm just gonna aim squaring up the housing on the target. Okay, now as you can see, I just squared up the housing, looked at my spot, and went ahead and sent a few, and it's like they go basically where I'm looking, in this case a little bit high, but again at close range it's like yeah, that will work. Now, there'll be other awkward positions too. Like let's say it's like I'm down here, like the gun's down here. Again, I just get behind the reticle. Now, and fire a few. Now I'm looking here and I got a center view of the the box of the optic housing. My shots were just a little bit left, but I knew they're gonna go basically where I want. And that, again, that's without even seeing or using the red dot. So the housing gives you enough information, I would say better information than the ACSS, because I'm not getting that confused with the red thing that actually makes the bullets go where I want. So in awkward positions, if I'm not witnessing the sight, I'm gonna just get behind and square the housing. And if the position's so awkward that I can't get behind the sight to square up the housing, well, ACSS or not, it would be irrelevant. You know, it wouldn't make any difference. So, yeah, that's what I think you should do. Try your optic housing. It's better than ACSS.